What's the word, man? It's your boy Deuce Fades, and I'm here to show you exactly how to do a drop fade step by step. Let's get into it. Okay, so what you would need to perform this cut is a clipper, some trimmers, a shear. Shears is like the scissors. A 3 guard, a 1.5 guard, a 0.5 guard, and a 1 guard for detailing. And this cut should take you anywhere from 25 to 45 minutes depending on your skill level and experience. So I forgot to record the first step somehow, but the first step is taking down the waves. So what you first want to do is brush out the waves, take your breath, or take a comb actually, and just comb the waves out in the direction that it grows. And then I took a 1.5 guard all the way closed and I knocked the waves down according to its pattern. So that first clip where you see me just freehanding the waves, the same way I'm going in the direction of the growth pattern then is what I'm going to do to take the waves down in as my first step. Now what you see me doing right here is setting my first guideline, which is going to be my bald line. So what I do is I take my 0 gap trimmers and I go up against the grain to set my bald line. I don't hit my trimmers, directly on the skin as far as how I would do a lineup whenever you just tap down and pull away. I don't do that for setting my guidelines because those tend to create harsh guidelines which can be difficult to get out. Doing it this way helps me to make sure that everything is bald and that my guideline isn't super sharp or super harsh. It's important to note that I'm setting this guideline in a drop type of fashion. So basically I'm making it slope down as I get towards the back of his head, and this is what's going to give me that drop fade. I'm gonna chime in real quick. So what you see me doing right there when I went to the other side is I checked the level or the position of the bald line that I set just to make sure that I'm making them even on both sides before I connect it to the back. Once the bald line is completely set, I'm going to go ahead and pick a side to work on. I usually like to start on, honestly, it really doesn't matter what side you start on, but I never start on the back. I always start on one of the sides whenever it comes to doing a fade. But what I'm doing now is I'm taking my clipper, lever all the way open, no guard on it, and I'm making a guideline about a finger's length width. Also notice that my guideline has that same sloping down direction as my original bald line. Okay, so now I'm going in with my 3 guard all the way closed, and I'm going up to about his parietal ridge area. I'll make sure I draw a line so y'all can see. But basically what I'm doing right here is I'm just debulking. I'm not setting a guideline. I'm just debulking, so that way it's going to be easier for me to fade into this area, and that blend is going to come out a lot more gradient, if that makes sense. Also take note that all of these steps I'm keeping my direction, right? I'm making sure that I'm moving in a slanted downward motion or like a downward slope type of motion. That way I keep the shape of this fade. That's how we're going to get this drop fade effect. If you start just going straight up and down and in a horizontal type of motion, instead of sloping your clippers down as you go, then you're just going to get a mid fade or a high fade eventually. So I just showed you that we're now using the 1.5 guard, and we're going to start closed, and then we're going to go halfway open, and then we're going to go all the way open. And so when we go closed, we'll go up about a half a finger's length, and then when we go halfway open, we're going to go up about the same amount, and then when we go all the way open, we're going to go up the same amount, right? So we're going to gradually go higher as we open up this lever on the clipper, and what that is going to do is help us to blend into the 3 guard length of the hair that we just created. I don't really like to use a guideline method. I don't like to set too many guidelines outside of that first one that I set. And from there, I just like to fade down. I feel like that helps me to, get a better fade, and it helps me not to get confused. The next step is to go ahead and get out that line that we all see. And so how we're gonna do that is use our half guard. We're gonna start all the way closed, and we're gonna slowly open it up. So I'm starting closed and I'm hitting that line, and I'm going in a flicking motion. All the other times I was going in a semi-flick, or sometimes I was just going straight up and down. This one I'm going in a flicking motion, remembering to keep that drop fade shape. Then I just open it up halfway, and then I'm going to open it up fully, and that's how we're going to get that area to blend in. My client right here has hair that grows in different directions and whatnot, so sometimes you have to go completely against the grain whenever you're flicking at hair and trying to get it to blend in. And what that means is, say if a piece of hair is growing south, you're going to flick directly north. If that piece of hair is going east, you're going to flick at it going west. Hopefully that makes sense. So basically you're going in the opposite way that it grows, and that's what's going to help you to get that blend. To remove the bald line, I'm going in with no guard on my lever, and I'm starting with it all the way closed. I'm going to open it halfway, and then I'm going to open it fully. So I'm flicking at that bottom line. Once again, I'm in that flick motion. On this one, you might need to use your corners to help you keep the shape and just to make sure that you don't mess up the fade. And so what I mean by using the corner of your clipper is using about the last 3 or 4 teeth on your clipper, and what that does is just help you not to make, you know, big mistakes that can be easily avoided. Keep in mind that on drop fades, the skin starts to get a little bit more loose towards the bottom of the head, and so whenever you're flicking with a no guard on and my lever is all the way closed, you want to make sure that you're being gentle with it, because it is a lot easier for you to accidentally dig into somebody's skin and mess around and irritate it, or even cut it a little bit or nick it. After I finish basically all the steps for my fade, I'm turning my client's head and just looking at it in the mirror so I can see any dark spots or any spots that just might need to be, you know, more blended in. And I noticed that the top of that fade has just a little bit of bulk right there. So I put my 3 guard back on, since that's the original thing I used. And I went ahead and just attacked it to see if I can debulk some of it. And if not, what I'll do is I'll keep on going down in guards, or I'll do what I'm about to show you in a second and use some thinning shears and do shear over comb in order to just help to debulk that area a little bit. Full transparency, this is my first time doing this technique on a fade, and I fell in love with it. I'm going to start doing this on all of my other fades. I actually saw somebody else do it, and that's what gave me the idea. But basically all you're doing is pulling up some of that hair with your comb, putting your shears right on that comb, and then just chopping. And then after that, you'll take your shears away. You'll use your comb to kind of comb down that hair again and get it in this natural state that it's going to lay in. And then you look at it and say, okay, is that good? If it's not, if you feel like it's more dark areas that you need to fix, to just go over it again with the shear and the comb and keep on doing that until you get the result that you want. Now, working my way to the other side. On this side, I'm not going to explain as much as what I did because I already explained it on the other one. I might go ahead and chime in a little bit if I feel like it's something I want to explain, but for the most part, I'm just going to let you watch me work. Real quick, I want to show you this. So this is a wedge blade. I bought it and I modified my clipper with it because I just accidentally found out about it, and it fades really, really good. It helps my fades to come together. So I usually set my first guideline with that wedge blade because I just like how everything transitions into it after that. So right here, I noticed that it was still some bulk at the top of this blend. And so instead of doing what I did last time and going with the 3 guard against the grain, I went ahead and went with a 1.5 guard closed with the grain. And the reason I chose a 1.5 guard closed is because that's what I used to knock down the hair with when I first started cutting his hair. The reason I did it this way instead of doing against the grain with the 3 guard is just because I felt like it would blend a little bit better, which I feel like it did. I think I was right about that. And that's just kind of a sense that you will start to build as you get used to cutting hair more and more. It's just something that just comes with the craft. It's just, you know, kind of having an intuition of what's going to work. So my clipper was having a hard time getting out that ball line and getting it to blend in. So I went in with my other Babyliss trimmers or clippers, which have a faster motor, which means that it's going to cut a little bit more of that hair whenever it touches the skin. And that's what's going to help me go ahead and blend in that area, just in case my regular go-to clipper is not doing the job that it needs to do. If you're interested in where I got any of my tools from, I'm gonna go ahead and link them. I get my clippers from a specific website because Amazon likes to tax for them. So I'm gonna make sure I use that website to show y'all how to get them clippers for a little bit cheaper than you might find somewhere else. And also, I don't even get no affiliate like commission or nothing like that from the website that I'm gonna link. I really wanna link Amazon so I can get a little commission, but I ain't gonna do that. I want y'all to get the best value, you know what I mean, and make sure y'all getting clippers for a good solid price. If you can get them below market price, then why not? You know what I mean? So I'm gonna make sure I link those, link the good links for y'all and whatnot. Anything that is on Amazon, that just means I couldn't find it anywhere cheaper for y'all. So yeah, the top of this fade was still a little bit darker than I would have liked, so I went ahead and used my 3 guard against the grain, and notice that I put it on my green clippers, which have a faster motor, which means it's going to cut more of that hair off for me. This just goes to show y'all that, like, some sides is going to take a little bit more work, you know what I mean? The other side didn't take too much work. The hair grew in a certain type of pattern that was easier to cut. It might have been that the hair was softer on that side, whatever it is, right? Not all sides are going to be equal. This side took a lot more work, and that's okay. You just have to be patient and just keep on going over your same steps. Make sure that you know the reason you're doing something. Don't just, go in and cut some hair just to do it. Make sure you know why you're doing it, or you have at least some type of understanding of, why you're doing it. And my bad, gang, I ain't gonna lie, I don't know how I did not record the whole back, like me doing the back. I literally thought I pressed the record button, but maybe I didn't. Maybe my finger just didn't hit it hard enough or something like that, but I literally just did the same exact steps. The back sometimes is a little bit trickier than the sides because you have that occipital bone, which is kind of like where that head has like you can say like an indentation at. You can see it right there. I'll put like a little circle around it or whatnot. And so with that type of thing, you gotta use certain techniques to blend into it, and all that is just making sure that your clippers are feeding fully through the hair, or that the hair is feeding fully through the clippers. So you might have to slow down just a little bit and make sure that things are right. The fade is completely finished. Now it's time for me to go ahead and prep the lineup before I actually line it up. So I'm going down with a 1.5 guard close. I'm hitting the edges, and then what I'm going to do is go down with a 1 guard. I'm going to do fully open on the 1 guard. I'm just hitting the very edge of this lineup, and what this does is just laying down those edge hairs on this lineup and whatnot, which is going to help me to get a crispier line. Now, my general rule of thumb is never go under a 1 guard open whenever you're knocking down somebody's lineup or debulking somebody's lineup. Even if they have a tapered lining, I still don't suggest going anywhere below a 1 guard open, because when you do that, it's going to cause the lineup to be lighter, right? Which is nothing, I guess, necessarily wrong with it. It can still be crispy, but those darker lineups have, that better effect that people are looking for nowadays, and it can also keep you from having to put enhancements on somebody's lineup if they don't want those, or if you just want to save time in your haircut, all that type of stuff. But what you see me just put in there was some alcohol. So I put alcohol on a napkin, and I just rub the edge of his lineup with that, and what that's going to do is help get rid of any sweat, any oil, anything that might cause my trimmers to kind of clog up or just not hit as hard. And then right after that, I'm going to use some TreSemme extra hold. I don't know if I said that right, but that's the way it looked like it's spelled. But yeah, TreSemme extra hold spray. I'm going to spray that across his lineup, and then I'm going to use my blow dryer. I'm going to put my blow dryer on a cool setting, and I'm going to go back and forth on his head about 3 or 4 times, and then I'm going to let it go on the hot setting, and I'm going to go back and forth on his head like 2 times, and then I'll just let that sit for a little second, and then I'll start lining it up. Okay, I'm caught up. The videos was kind of getting away from me, but anyways, I went ahead and did his beard and mustache and whatnot, lined all of that up first, and then now I am proceeding to do his lineup. And the reason I let that sit for a little bit is because it lets that product sit or settle, and then it helps to make sure that their hair is hardened and that it's not going anywhere. It's not running away from my trimmers whenever I'm trying to cut it. My client likes enhancements, so I went ahead and enhanced them up. I don't really like to go heavy with my enhancements. I try to make them look as natural as possible. And lastly, since my client has waves, I'm gonna go ahead and knock off those flyaways. And you can either do this with scissors or you can use your clipper, lever all the way closed, no guard like I'm doing right here, and just kind of ride the top of his waves. No diddy, I gotta add that in there. But yeah, so that's gonna be the finished cut after this. Yes, sir, this is the finished cut, man. I appreciate y'all for watching. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. I'm going to be trying to drop about 2 to 3 tutorials a day, or not a day, a week. And I'm also going to try to drop some vlogs and whatnot. So just stay tuned to the channel, man.